All right. Welcome, everybody. I apologize for my tardiness to my own meeting. In Duluth, Minnesota, I'm installing solar on my RV so I can be fully self-contained in my office, and just troubleshooting and lost track of time. So I apologize. Thank you guys for being patient and sticking around. Don't have anything pre-prepared for today, so the floor is open. Ronald, you look like you got something on your mind. How can we help you today? I heard some good news about you yesterday.
Yeah, we got a really nice video testimonial Megan and I did. I know Megan's going to be on the call today. I don't know if she's on yet or not, but
Yeah.
we're excited about that.
So let's talk about it was an outbound request for a past client, right? Like we discussed last week.
So this was one that's actually still in escrow, but it's a cash deal and it's passed the inspection. It's just a matter of a few days of it closing. And so she's thrilled with what's going on. And
If you don't mind, share with everybody how you approached them and requested the testimonial video.
okay, so just to back up a little bit, it came to me from an attorney, and the attorney's in Phoenix, the client is in Phoenix, but the house is in Tucson. And so I brought in my partner, Megan Muse, who's in Tucson, and we worked on this together, although Megan had the lead. So once we got to this point, I was talking to Megan about it. I said, I'd really like to get a video testimonial. And she goes, oh yeah, let's try. So we got Carol on the phone, and I said to her, Carol, thank you so much for all the kind things that you have said about our work to Megan and to the attorney, Libby Banks. And I said, I really appreciate that. She goes, oh, every word. She's just really nice. And I said, I've got a favor to ask. Would you mind giving us a testimonial on video? I know a lot of people don't like to go on video, but it would be really valuable to us if you would be willing to do that. She goes, oh, I'm on Zoom all the time. I'm very comfortable on video. Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So she said, just give me a couple of days. And so we got it, and I was thrilled. I edited it down a little bit because it was a tad long. So I cut about 30 seconds off it and got it down to 90 seconds. I'm real happy with it. Yeah.
And what have you done with it so far? What's your intention?
I've put it on our Facebook business page, Desert Probate Team. I put it on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. I put it on IGTV, the Instagram platform.
Do you have a Google My Business?
I'm working on that right now because it's a new company. We couldn't actually set that up until we had a review. So once I got the video testimonial, I thought that was all that they needed, but they actually need a link to go out to the person, and they type it out and type out the review. So I sent Carol a link yesterday. So
that's great. And then you can upload her video to your Google My Business page. Like anytime somebody finds your business, they'll be able to watch that video. Have her leave the actual Google review, and then get a graphic designer. You can throw it into Adobe Spark or into the other one, Canva, and just make a quotation, like a graphic image of the testimonial.
Okay.
Like cut out a snippet and put like the best quote from the testimonial, and put that with your brand, like with your logo and your website. Put that in your Google My Business photos. So you'll have photos, videos, at least one 5-star review, and then you can start to build that. But this is how we can use one single testimonial in many different ways across different mediums to get to broaden our surface. Great job taking the challenge and getting that done in a week. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that is coming along is the Phoenix Life Transitions Facebook group. At this point, we have 3 speakers lined up, or 3 people who I'm going to interview.
And those are from your vendor team, right?
They're from the community. So the first one is actually the attorney who gave us the referral. We're going to be talking to her first, a estate planning attorney. And then the second one is a grief specialist with the mortuary and cemetery. So I didn't even know that they had grief specialists at mortuary. So the owner of the mortuary is going to do an interview with me also in the future, but she's busy at this point. So she said, why don't you interview my grief specialist first? So great, we're going to do that. And then the one after that, we're going to be interviewing a social worker who works for a law firm. I had never met a social worker who worked for a law firm before.
Me either.
Yeah, usually social workers, when I come across them, they work for a government agency or they work for a big medical group like an HMO or something. Yeah.
What's that person's main role? I mean, are they value add for an estate planning firm?
he's a very nice guy. He cares about people. He wants to help them, but in many ways, he's just a marketer for them. He's out there, he's talking to people, and he does a lot with the Arizona long-term care system. He knows all about how to help people get the care that their loved one needs without breaking the bank, with preserving some of that capital for the survivor.
That's an amazing resource for you to bring to that group. Most folks, and unfortunately, a close friend of mine we had to have this conversation last night, and some tactics for avoiding having to liquidate assets to cover long-term care. And what do you do when you waited too long and it happens in your 50s, late 50s or 60s? So a lot of people don't have access to that resource. So really shine a light on that one and say, what can people do if they're listening to this and they're 40? What about 50? What about 60? What about 70? Because at those milestones, you have to use different strategies. I paid for long-term care in my 30s, so I'm set. Like, I pay a very low premium because I'm statistically low risk. However, with Grant's mother, she's in her 60s already and just had a small stroke. So for us to get a whole life premium for her is going to be outlandish, right? It's probably not even going to make sense. So we need to go a different route. And I've learned this through attorneys and specialists, like wealth planning specialists. But there are a very small handful in most markets in most major cities. So great job finding that person that understands how to navigate that. Because we talk a lot about probate here, but especially for you in your market where you struggle because of the competition in probate, getting you upstream of that and like avoiding the probate is the highest service you can provide.
Yeah.
So everybody else is harassing them. You've got the right people coming to the table. That's awesome, Ronald.
Yeah. So this law firm is actually really interesting. It's a big firm. They've got offices in 3 different cities here in the Phoenix Valley, and about 30 attorneys on total, and 5 of them in their elder law department. And so I had lunch with this social worker last week. We're going to have lunch again on Thursday. So I was probing him a little bit about these attorneys. I said, so do all 5 of these guys do trusts and wills and probate? And he said, no, we have one who does trusts and wills. We have another who does conservatorship and guardianship. And then we have 3 who we're all working with the Arizona long-term care system. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing, you know?
It's amazing. So you have 3 really high value Zoom calls coming up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I want to close the loop on this. For anyone who wasn't on the call, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the idea we're discussing is, especially in competitive markets where your direct mail marketing and your outbound calling just isn't getting you to make contact. The idea and the challenge was to actually start a community resource Facebook group. And you said yours was Phoenix Life Transitions. So think about the scope of that is much larger than probate. We want it to capture people who are facing long-term care decisions, who are facing guardianship situations, who are facing a death, and after that, either a probate or a trust, but actually helping them in any and every aspect of that aging and dying phase. So that's what we're discussing. So he's established a group. He's reached out to the vendors that he already has relationships with and is asking them, hey, can you come to my group and provide value so my group can provide more value to you in the form of referrals? And we're earning those future referrals. So that's the idea we're discussing. And you went right to the top of the scale value wise. You could have had an estate sale company. And the reason I chose that is everybody knows what they do. You don't really need to have an hour-long conversation about it. But the people you're bringing to the table are really unique, and that should help you build your audience rapidly. It should get shared around and really be worth your time.
The probate attorney is very excited about it. And they said, yeah, we're going to promote this really hard to our group. We'll have an audience for that very first one. The first one is one I was a little bit more concerned with.
Yeah.
And then we should have an audience. We should be able to build an audience for the other 2 as well. But I wanted to mention to you a little bit more about this law firm, because most of the probate attorneys in our area, they're only doing a couple of probate cases per month. And when you look at the number of PR counts on the spreadsheet that comes out, but the guy from this law firm who does the probates did 22 in the month of April.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was talking to Daniel a little bit about that, and he goes, well, I think they've got 3 people. They can have up to 3 people on their list. So I don't know if they've got room for a 3rd one right now or not, but he's going to introduce me to him and see if I can get onto that list of 3. which would be awesome, I think.
There'll be plenty of room on it once you kick the other guy's ass off of.
Well, I just sent Daniel the video of Carol this morning, so I haven't heard back what he saw, but it was a very good video. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
David,
Yeah.
Donna, I want to come back to you because we had to abruptly end because I had a hard stop last week. Do you have a mic?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a refresher, Donna, we were having a discussion last week about C Corp versus S Corp versus LLC and having a big giant portfolio corporate structure versus a simple structure that you could start and grow into. And I'm curious how my suggestion was that you actually meet with your potential partner and kind of talk about putting a toe in before jumping in with both feet. Did you have that conversation? Did you gain any more clarity or get other advice this week?
I had it that same day. I don't wait. So I had it that same day. The challenge is one of my partners is in California. The two of them work full-time jobs while they're trying to do this. So I have to work around their schedule. So we discussed it individually, and then we're meeting tomorrow. The one's going to be on Zoom and the other one's going to be at my house. And we're going to do it together, the three of us. I actually am making an agenda for the meeting. I told them stuff to think about already. The one that's here with me, we both got our LLCs. They're all approved on Friday. We both got them done. And I just have to get my EIN number and my Arizona State tax ID, whatever, and open my bank account. But that's done. I listened to a bunch of sub-2 stuff from that Chris Prefontaine or whatever yeah, that was awesome, like information. So like my head was spinning all night long. I could think about all this. That was like such a cool thing to be able to help people like that.
The top tactics that you'll use in the next 3 years.
It's a fantastic idea. The only thing is I don't understand is how I actually make money doing it. Is it like a option money or an assignment money kind of like thing that you do?
I wouldn't. So just ethically, I don't assign sub-2 deals. And a lot of people do, and a lot of people make a lot of money. But if I look you in the eye and say, you've got my word, I will pay this mortgage note, then I'm going to hold on to that. Because if I wholesale a sub-2 and then that person doesn't care and they quit making payments, then that comes back to me and my reputation and my legal liability. So I think that, and I'm really conservative when it comes to this. I don't know anyone who's ever been caught in this, but I've just not been willing to take the risk. And so what I do with the sub-2 is I'll purchase it with the lien in place. I'll put a third-party servicing company in place to auto draft from my business checking account into the service. I get an authorization to release and we connect it directly. So it's on auto. I auto pay, and then the servicer sends a letter and an email to me and to the original seller. So in that scenario, like where I use sub-2 is when I want to stay in it as a long-term buy and hold, because you're essentially getting a free house. So your paydays are typically, a lot of times your monthly cash flow will be thin, but as long as it's not costing you money, the tenant is paying that off. Inflation is paying down the debt in addition to the principal pay down. And eventually you turn that house into a piggy bank by getting a home equity line of credit. Like I use First Citizens Bank for my HELOCs, because if you have over a 750 credit score, they'll give you a 90 LTV on the appraisal. So you can turn the house into a piggy bank. So that's typically how I use them, is get yourself into it, get yourself a really good tenant. But you could also turn it into an Airbnb and do short-term rentals. And that's where if you buy a house sub-2 and you fully furnish it and turn it into a corporate rental, or you fully furnish it at a higher level and turn it into an Airbnb, then your margin can be really huge. You can take a deal that another landlord would go, Donna's a damn fool. Why would she buy that for a rental? But because your rental strategy is different, you can get a lot more money. If it's more than 5, you can do things like there's a company called Pad Split, where they'll actually master lease the house from you on a 10-year lease. And then they do all of the rental management for short-term tenants. And a lot of times they'll come up with students, traveling nurses. You can go on the travelingnurses.com and a few other sites, go to Court Furniture, fully furnish the house and pay for it in installments. So you don't have to come out of pocket 50 grand. But for $2,000 a month, you can fully, or less than that, you can fully furnish the house and then rent it out as a short-term rental with all utilities and everything. So there's things like that with a sub-2 where you basically end up with a free house, no dollars into it, and you can make anywhere from a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 a month and never have a dime out of pocket.
So you don't think you don't usually find that they need repair though, and you need to clean it up or remodel it?
And what Chris Prefontaine will teach you is you need to, it's like gymnastics. You need to spot your landing before you get there. So
Okay.
the reason a cat always
Okay.
lands on its feet is because if you look, its eyes always connect with the point you're going to land. And
Where it's
that's how
going to
it works.
land.
And
Right.
real estate investing is really the same way. The people who just jump without knowing where they're going to land or what their exit strategy is, a lot of times those are the ones that get their assets handed to them and they get really bad surprises in their career. Real estate investors who buy with the disposition strategy in mind are the ones who typically make the largest gains. So you have
Right.
to look at it and say, okay, in this neighborhood, if I buy this house sub 2, it's not going to be an Airbnb. Will it paper as a HUD?
Right. Right. So
Versus,
no.
holy shit, this one's on a golf course and it's pristine. They just bought it last year. Husband got laid off, wife got a job transfer, they're moving to Atlanta, we got to get them out of this house. So then you've got the house will be perfectly cared and kept for, and they'll walk away.
Right.
It'll be broom swept when you walk in. So sub 2s,
Right.
as far as condition goes, I think in Roanoke, sub 2s are in better condition than retail houses most of the time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we just invested in we did a training with Mash Advisor, it's called, and it was recommended to us, and they actually will figure out the area all across the country, actually, not just Arizona, of what's a good rental area. It's got a heat map on there that tells you what their good rental is, and it shows you 5-year history, and then it compares it to an Airbnb too. So you can see which one might be better and where you get the higher rents and stuff like that from the program. And it's all day long. It was like $690 for the year, and it's unlimited, whatever. And so since my friends in California, we don't mind investing in other areas as well. So we thought we would look into that concept. Absolutely. It's a really good idea. But I just, my head's spinning from all the, and then I went on an REIA meeting last night with Tucson, and my head was spinning after that, like 2 hours of that. And the guy could be an auctioneer. He talks so fast. So he was doing market updates. He was doing all the different things. And then everybody did their wants and needs at the end. And then they offered a special class on wholesaling that this guy, Michael at Tucson, is supposed to be phenomenal at it. And he's not like cutthroat kind of wholesaling, because wholesaling is the reason I wanted to do it is because it would give you some cash flow, because I don't really have an extra cash to be doing this right now. So I thought it would build some cash for me. And then, not that I can't get some hard money loans and stuff, but it would be building some cash for us, and then do other things. Really, that's going to be not my main thing for sure, but I'd like to learn how. And it was $10 to take the class. It'll be worth it. And the guy is a pro at it, and he says he's finding them properties like right and left. So I thought, well, I want to know how he's finding them.
for $10, it's going to be a fine investment. One of the things I do want you to think about, because you're in the right mode right now for these types of suggestions. I didn't like wholesaling. I built my career with in high dollar ski front, beach front, and I was on negotiating the price up on millionaires. And then all of a sudden I was negotiating the price down when this was the only thing they owned. It was all they had. And I didn't like that. It wasn't, and it was very competitive. And especially in Arizona, it's a super competitive tactic. One of the other things you can do, you can actually step in and buy these houses with focus on homes with 100% equity, free and clear. Focus on ones that have equity, pull a high equity list and take them sub 2. And then just turn around and go refinance it in the commercial arm of a community bank. A lot of times they'll go to 80 or 85 LTV. So if they only have 50% LTV left to pay off, or let's say 60, so let's say it's a $100,000 house, they owe 60 grand. You can buy the house sub 2 for 60 grand, go to the bank, refinance it for 80, and you just made 20,000 in cash. But guess what? It's not income. So are you paying income tax on a home equity line of credit? No. So if you would have wholesaled that for $20,000, how much of that would you have kept? Maybe 15. But here in this case, you get the whole 20, and you get to write off the interest because it's a business asset, and that's your home equity line. It's an equity line against a business asset. So there's things like that you can do. You can wholesale smarter, or you can raise cash smarter. So in that scenario, you still control the asset. You got the cash. And now you can take that cash to the next deal tax-free, and you don't have this outstanding tax liability hanging over your head. Understanding real estate finance can oftentimes help you beat the shit out of your competition because they're a one-trick pony, right? They have one arrow in their quiver. And
Right.
it's like a low ball cash offer, take it or leave it. It's a numbers game. If you say no, that's 99 more till I get a yes. And
Right.
that's the mindset of a lot of the people you're competing with in the wholesale space, where if you come into it with creative solutions like what you're hearing from Chris Prefontaine and what I just laid out, you don't really have any competition. Very few people are having that conversation with sellers.
My biggest deal is I don't have a lot of cash right now, or a line of credits, you know what I mean, that I could probably
That's
get
what I'm saying.
because
You
of
go,
COVID. So
you gain control of the house with no money. Then you go refinance the house, pay off the original note with your refi. What I'm proposing is a way for you to raise cash, but without competing as a wholesaler. So you can go,
okay,
you actually buy the house subject to with the note in
Okay.
place. That note is a lower LTV than what you know is possible. So you're buying it at undervalue. So you're basically buying the house for the note price. The house is worth more than the note. You just need now
Right.
you need to go to a community bank, do a cash out refi, and you walk away with cash in the form of debt. You put a tenant in the house to start paying it off, or you put it on the market, and you've got some cash in your pocket.
Do you have to season that? So you have to wait 6 months, right? From the title transfer?
Usually not. No.
Okay.
If it's Fannie Mae, you would be taking out the original lender with the cash out refi, so it wouldn't matter. And that lender, but there's usually no prepayment plan in community bank loans like that.
Okay. Awesome.
So, and I know
Okay.
that's kind of an advanced tactic. If you find yourself in the hot seat and you need help structuring a deal, please just reach out to us. And hell, I've even gotten on Zoom with sellers and people, and they're like, all right, let's see how we can do this.
I haven't gotten
Good.
in. I haven't looked up the land trust situation either. Like you said, I did that.
Yeah.
I haven't looked up into. That's my next thing to look into. Is what does that look like here in Arizona? I don't know if it's the same as what you're used to or not. So I wanted to look into that too, because I have an appointment with Anderson because I have it as part of my coaching program with Ren coming up Thursday. And I'm going to ask them the whole question again, more detail about the C Corp. Why would you say a C Corp? Why would you do this? Why can't I do this and do a land? And what does that look like?
And the other thing, so you've already set up an LLC, and I'll commend you on taking action on all of this stuff. Like you just go do it. You're like, I don't wait, I go do it. I love that. The other question you want to ask them is, why would I not use my LLC and take the S Corp designation for IRS purposes? So you get all of the protection of a legal protection of an LLC, but you get all the tax benefits of an S corporation. And those benefits normally, that pretty much comes up above $140,000 in revenue, but you're thinking big and you're thinking long term. So typically, and that's what I do. So I do LLCs designated as S corps for tax purposes, and I think it's the best. And then within that container, you have an umbrella insurance policy over you as a person. You have a corporate veil of the LLC. You have the tax benefits of the S corp, and then the assets are actually held in individual land trust. So you have complete anonymity. But if anyone ever does find out where all of your trusts still hit the corporate veil of the LLC before it gets through to you. And if it ever gets through to you, you've got an umbrella policy. And if you really if you get above, I'm going to say when you get above 5 million in net worth, then you want to go ahead and start moving your assets offshore into either Belize, Cook Island, or Nevis.
Which that's a little definitely over my head. Oh my gosh. Okay. But I like to know in advance. That's cool. I have it in my head now. Cool. Yep. Thank you so much. I'm still trying to structure the whole thing with the girls or the team of, wow, we're going to do this and financially. And my daughter was just saying, maybe you need to do 50% to you. And then they each get 25, or somebody else just told me 25 to each one of them right now, because I come to the table with most of the knowledge, the real estate knowledge, and they don't. And what does that look like with them? Because I mentioned doing a marketing fee like we talked about, putting it in the pot for marketing, because I'm not going to walk away if I reach out. If I get a deal, I'm not walking away at all. My goal is to get them one way or the other, subject to cash out or put it retail. My goal is to get the deal, period.
So right? Donna, what I would suggest, some key points that the primary points of this next meeting when you guys all get together is everyone should be able to write their value statement or value outline. here are all the things that I can do to bring value to this team and this partnership or this joint venture, whatever we want to call it.
That's a great way to call it. Value outline. I like that.
So let's say what we're good at, what we love to do. Let's say that the things that we're really good at and that we like to do, and the things we're good at that we don't necessarily like to do. And if there's overlap where if this person's good at that and likes it, and this person's not, if they're good at it but they don't like it, then you move that over. But at the end of that meeting, the idea was you would have 3 columns, and like these are the roles and responsibilities of each person. And you basically weight that, you distribute your equity based on the value that's being brought to the table. Going into a partnership saying, no, I got all the experience, but you're pretty and you've got more time off than I do. You can do it. That's where it often backfires. So don't be arbitrary about equity distribution, whether it's on one deal or it's on, the operating agreement. Make sure you're getting what you're worth, your relative percentage, and the same for them. But go into it. And the next key point is expectations. So what has to happen here for you to say this was one of the smartest decisions you ever made? What do you expect from this? Is it a dollar amount? Is it the prestige of being able to say I'm real estate and like driving your friends by and be like, I want a third of that one? What is driving? What are their expectations? What are their motivations? And you'll see, and this is all this is going to do is shine a light on. It's going to highlight any weak points or anyone who's not going to carry their weight early in the process. But establishing like roles and responsibilities, expectations, and then ultimately bring that to a close by saying, all right, guys, what is our thesis? And what I mean by that is there are a lot of different ways we can buy houses, but the way we sell them is what's most important in the beginning of forming a partnership. So are we long-term buy and hold? Are we fix and flip? Are we wholesale? Are we short-term rental buy and hold? What is our exit strategy? Because the bigger this gets and the more successful we are, the more of a problem that will be if we're not clear on it from the beginning. So bring it all to a close. I'm like, okay, so we are buy and hold investors. So that means we can do these strategies which fit the buy and hold disposition, that model, or no, we're fix and flip. And then there's a whole different set of inventories. Doing this will help show who's committed to doing what. And also that the agreement that you come to, I hope you start with a joint venture or something, dipping your toe in, not jumping in with both feet. But in that agreement, you should define roles and responsibilities and what happens if one person doesn't live up to that, and put some teeth in that joint venture agreement, because it is a trial run, right? Like it's a test. So if someone says, well, hey, I'll do the direct mail marketing, I'll make all the phone calls and I'll go on the appointments. Okay, great. If they're not doing it, if you ended up that deal was landed off of your phone call, you went on the appointment, you signed the contract, and then does she still do her part? And that's only for you guys to answer. Nobody on you have to figure out what that roles and responsibilities. But those are the major things I want you to walk away from that being really clear on. Otherwise, I want you to pay them really well as 1099 contractors during that conversation.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
For sure. Thanks for coming back, Donna. If anyone else has joint ventures with other investors, ever partnered a deal, if you have stories you'd like to share, please step in. I've only done a handful. That's why I'm suggesting I think if you maintain the energy and the attitude you have right now, you don't need partners. You'll kick the ass off of anyone in your way. Like you've got you've got good momentum and good energy. You're smiling and getting it done. So if you keep that up, you need contract, not partner. Scott has a meeting tomorrow. Scott, you still here?
Yeah, I'm on mute. So
yeah, there you are. So you got an appointment coming up, and it's a probate that you got referred to you, not an outbound effort.
Actually was marketing a listing, and they opted in on one of my sites, and followed up with them and talked to them, and it happened to be probate. I didn't know it when I had originally called them, but now I'm finding out more information. So I took the certification class several months ago, and I have conflicting meetings with your Zoom calls and stuff. So I'm trying to catch up on maybe an agenda of what I should really do when I meet with them.
Have you got some time this evening, just 2 or 3 hours?
Absolutely.
What I would recommend is start at the beginning of session 3, go through up until you hit the role play, skip that, and then go through the last 30 minutes, the appointment. And that's combined is probably about 2.5 hours. It's at probatemastery.com. Have you signed up as an alumni so you have access to the new digital course?
I'm pretty sure because I've talked to your reps about starting this in my county.
Now, just to be clear, I sold my shares in all the leads. This phone call has nothing at all to do with all the leads. This is probate mastery. So I took the intellectual property and went the education route. So
Right.
if you're talking to their support team, it's independent of us. If you haven't already, go to probatemastery.com, and that's where you'll find the digital course. So go through the modules, the initial conversation, and on the appointment. And I think that's going to give you just about everything you need. And if you go through that and you're like, oh man, I have really specific questions, you can email support@probatemastery.com, and we'll try to get to you the answers you need before you go. What time is your appointment tomorrow?
4:00 p.m. Pacific time. So I've got.
Yeah. So we've got time. So go
Yeah.
through that. Go through that this evening. Log in to it's course.probatemastery.com. Will get you to your login and go through that session 3. It'll be a good refresher for you, and you'll be clear on what you need to do tomorrow. And if you're not, just email us, let us know, and I'll find a slot to give you a call.
I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Yep. Elle had said, please map out the process of subject 2 and send it to me. Okay, Elle, I will email you a rundown on subject 2 real estate investing. And Elle also, she's holding me accountable here. She said she tried reaching out, but it's almost impossible. At least it's not impossible, almost impossible. If you guys email support@probatemastery.com, they have a link to my calendar. It oftentimes is full, but I apologize. I wish there were more of me. Yes, sir. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
You can. Go ahead.
I recently inherited my mother's house. She passed away last year in November.
Mhm.
And it's my brother, myself, and I'm the executor of the estate. And I was interested in doing that BRRRR method as well that you just talked about. It's a reverse mortgage. And
You got a short window on those, but you can do it.
yeah, I've extended and got more time. And
Okay. When's the note due?
they haven't given me a date.
Okay. Do your siblings want to do this with you, or would you be buying it from the estate?
I'll be buying it from the estate myself. It's just me and my brother.
Okay. And is he in agreement with it, or does he want cash, or does it have equity is a better question for me to ask.
He's going to get cash. I'll buy it.
Okay. So you do have cash to give him?
Once I sell the house, once I sell it and probably do the refinancing, I don't have cash to buy the house right now. I'm waiting on a $95K deal to close. I'm a wholesaler. I got a pretty big
Okay.
deal.
So
It's
if you
coming.
take it sub 2, title
Mhm.
title is going to transfer. So he is supposed to be on title. So he's going to have to sign away his rights to the house and trust you that you're going to extend the bridge to him later when you sell the house or close your wholesale deal. Can you accomplish that? Do you guys have a really good relationship?
It's not great.
He's going to have to sign I agree that this is going from our parents to my brother and I get nothing. And you can have a promissory note or you can give him a second mortgage, but he needs to understand his risk. If you screw up and the reverse mortgage lender forecloses, he's going to get wiped out. So you just need to have a real freaking honest conversation with him and say, listen, we've got a 90-day window for me to do my magic. I need you to trust me. It needs to be titled to me only. You can go in second lien position as a lien holder, and I'll sign a promissory note with a personal guarantee just to show you that in no way am I trying to screw you. This is the only way I can do this deal until that 95 grand comes in. And you got my word, when I get my 95 grand, I'll pay you. I'll pay the second off. You can release the lien and we'll be out of the deal. Same as me buying the house from you. I just need you to trust me and wait a little while for the money, and I'll pay you interest for that and do it that way.
To do the BRRRR method, your credit has to be in good standing.
It depends. If you have a relationship with a community bank, and what I mean by community bank, for me, they're these small banks that have 8 or 10 branches that are usually between $2 and $5 billion in assets. And they have very light REO on their books. And trying to remember the resource. I look at the back end, the reporting data that the banks have to report to the FDIC and see how healthy they are. Then I pick one. But those banks, they have to lend money. That's their business. So if it's in the commercial side of the bank, it's asset-based lending, not personal credit-based lending. So they're going to look at the house, how much it can rent for, and underwrite based on the asset, not on your credit history. Now, if you have really good credit, they're going to throw better rates and terms at you. Like they'll give me 85 LTV without it on a cash out refi, without even seeing the house or knowing where the money's going. So I've bought houses before for 12, 13 grand and been able to walk away from a closing table with $60,000, $70,000 check, which you can't do in residential real estate and residential lending, but you can in commercial lending. So that's why I tell you, go to the commercial side. Hell, they're quoting me rates at like 3.83% on a 20-year amortization. Like commercial money is cheap as hell right now. It's more than residential, but it's still really inexpensive money. So find that bank, and you probably have one in mind. Go in. And do you have cash and where do you bank now? Are you banking with a big bank, small bank?
Small bank located in Walmart.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get much done with them. I would look at, so what I do, and rather than ask you really private questions in front of everybody, what I did when I moved to Roanoke, I knew no bankers, knew nothing, but I knew I wanted to have a clear finance strategy in place before I started meeting with sellers. I took $20,000 and put 10,000 in one bank and 10,000 in another. And then as soon as they handed me my deposit receipt, I said, great, could I meet with the president of the bank, please? Or the president of commercial lending at the bank. And they were like, yeah, let me go get him. And I went from that office to the commercial lender's office. And I sat down and I said, all right, let's underwrite me. Let's say this is a $100,000 house. I'm buying it for $60,000. It needs 20,000 in rehab. What can we do? I just gave you enough lending power that you can loan that money back to me based on the deposit that I just put in your bank. And we both know that's true. And he's just like, who the hell are you? I'm like, I'm a new guy. But the truth is they're getting 9-to-1 leverage on every dollar you put in a deposit account. So one of the best ways to open up lendability at a community bank is to give them deposit funds. And you can also do it as a CD if you want to get really creative. And I wouldn't just walk in and try this until you really understand it. It's a pretty bold move, but we've walked into banks in the Midwest and said, hey, listen, we're going to put this $1 million into a CD, a certificate of deposit, a 6-month CD. What we want in return is a $2 million line of credit based on our $1 million deposit account. And then you have the business bank account has $1 million in it. They'll give you $2 million on a commercial line of credit. You go buy the apartment building, and then they're trying to please you because they want to refinance that apartment building in 12 months when you're done with your CapEx. You can scale those numbers down and do the same thing on a house. You can take $10,000 in, put it on a 6-month CD, and then say, okay, cool. I'd like $30,000 in cash on a line of credit. And that way, it's even if you have not so good credit, you're just like I tell you, if you want to build a strong relationship with an attorney, walk in the door with a referral. If you want money from the bank, walk through the door with money. The difference is they have a lot more leverage on that money than you do. So if you give them $100, they can loan you $1,000. And a lot of people don't think about it that way. But and you might walk into 3 banks and think, well, that Chad's full of shit. Those guys shot me down. But when you walk into the right bank, they're going to, we're really going to help you with this. We're excited to start this relationship. And then you'll know you're in the right bank. So it's sometimes, just like the real estate industry or any other industry, like a lot of people are in that position because they're just not very good at their jobs. Their loan officer's making a little bit of money and it's comfortable and they took the safe route. But every once in a while, you'll meet a guy in a community bank that wants to run that damn thing. And he's that really good lender that will really bend over backwards to help you, execute on your strategy. He'll be your finance partner. And that's what you're looking for. That's one of those classes I want to do, like a community bank finance class, because I've never seen anyone do that. And everyone tells me I'm wrong. Everyone says you can't do it. I've done it in multiple markets. At 26 years old, I raised $42 million from 4 community banks in 2 days. I knew nothing, but I went in, I sat in the lobby and I said, I'm here to see the president when he's ready. And I got $42 million and saved the project. And that was in 2008 to save a condo project. And the developer I was working for was sitting on their hands, and I'm like, I got to get paid, man. So I just went and found the money myself. So don't listen to a lot of the advice you hear about using banks for real estate investing, because a lot of people are just spreading falsehoods. You can absolutely, even if your credit sucks, you can still use community banks, the commercial side, and you can have 100 mortgages with one bank if you want. I've helped guys build portfolios. Eric had as many as 158 houses under one commercial blanket lien, and we were able to get partial releases and add houses, take houses away. But one bank loaned one guy enough money to have 158 houses. And it was only about a $3.5 billion bank, but they were aggressive. And Kathy was one of those lenders that wants to run that damn thing one of these days. So she was eager to lend the money. So if you have community bankers that are coming to your REIA meeting, like if they show up at the Real Estate Investors Association, that's a pretty good indication that they're thinking differently. If you meet them at Rotary, it's one thing. They're looking to finance the damn tire store down on the corner and try to do inventory and goods. And that's not the commercial lender you're looking for. You're looking for the one that understands real estate investing, sees housing as an asset class with less risk than small business or anything else they're loaning on. And that's your guy or gal. Some of the best commercial lenders I've ever met are female, like Kathy, the one I was just talking about. And unfortunately, I've had to deal with those lenders also in distress situations when investors scaled too quickly, ran out of cash, got vacancy and credit loss, and the whole damn thing came tumbling down. Having that relationship with that bank, I was the only thing between him and losing everything he had ever had. Because I was able to go in, talk to the banker as a human and say, listen, let me make this a controlled fall for everybody. I'll find a buyer, cash buyer, no contingencies. I'll get you out of the portfolio with a short sale. And I built social capital at that bank for sure, because I probably saved them a $3 million loss. But that's the kind of bankers you're looking for, the ones that really understand single family rentals. And they'll be doing multifamily too. But if they've already got experience in single family, they won't try to shoo you away and be like, no, we don't do that.
Okay.
But back to your deal. So it's in whose name? Whose title? House title held right now? Only.
Yes, with FHA, reverse mortgage.
Okay. And you're getting letters already from the servicer or from the mortgagor saying you owe us. We're calling the note.
Yes. You mean the payoff statement?
Yeah. What date was the house vacated?
Last November. No, I'm sorry. It was March.
This past March?
Yeah, it was March. My brother was living there.
That doesn't count. Your mother left in November?
She died in November, yes.
Okay, so they can call the note right now. This is really dangerous. If you were asking me this question in December, I would be like, hey man, you got at least a 3-month window where you can get yourself into it, get a tenant in place, and then go to the bank and refi yourself out, pay your brother off. You could do it. Right now, though, you need to understand your exposure is if you take that sub 2 and you close and they call the note, they can recover the asset. Now you're really not out anything other than what equity would be in the home, that you're not going to lose your own cash on it, whatever you paid in closing costs, but it's probably not the right strategy. What I would recommend is to go find yourself a private lender for this one. You want to hold it long-term?
Yes, I like to.
Go to the community bank and say, here's the deal. How much is the house worth as it sits?
As is, all fixed up, but I'm thinking 2 to 240.
No. The way it sits today. Okay.
Yeah, I would say something tops 140, 150. Probably about 150 as is.
150 right now. What's the note?
112.
Okay. So we got something we can work with. So if it will appraise for 150 and that bank, what's 15 times 8? Somebody quick. If we can get you to an 80 LTV with a community bank, then we can get you a loan of 120. That should get that lender out plus your closing costs. So you could do this. Then your brother is, you guys have to agree on a value, what you would sell it for 150. So there's a $30,000 spread in there. I would give him a $15,000 second if he would accept that. And then later, when your wholesale deal comes through, pay him 15 grand after he releases the lien, the second mortgage. Do that at the attorney's office. Like you pay off the second for $15,000. The second mortgage is released. Man, you got a rental property.
Okay.
So The other alternative is private lending. So you can go to, and I'm gonna tell you, man, like you've done deals, right? Like you've done some deals in real estate.
Yes.
Dress nicer than the dentist. If you can't find private money, just take a day and drive to every fucking dentist office you can find in the city and say, hey man, my investor's making 8 to 15% yield. And I will never, ever, I'll bend over backwards to make sure that you can achieve that. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Can you come to this Zoom call tomorrow night? Walk away, go to the next dentist office, go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. Get 5 or 6 dentists on there and do a discovery call of what your new private money program is. And say, here's the deal. Here's what we're doing. We're buying these houses. Here's our strategy. This is what we're going to do. I actually have one on deck that I need to fund right now. That one is pretty close to me because my mother passed away. I need to get my brother out. I don't have a whole lot of time because there's a reverse mortgage on it, or I would just go to a community bank. But hey, I pay a community bank 3.5% when I can pay one of you guys 8%. Who would like to place some money at an 8% return and have it hold a first position? If I screw up, you're going to make more money than you're going to make a lot of money, because I'm going to ask you for $150,000 note, and I'm going to put this much in it, and it's $240,000 house. So is anyone interested in this deal, or do we want to talk about the next ones that are coming up? And just have a conversation. You could do it individually, but you could also get an auction mentality and get multiple prospects on the line with you. But my point is, go to high net worth individuals who don't have enough time to manage their own investments or self-direct retirement accounts. They think 7% in the S&P 500 is like an amazing investment thesis. Is laughable, right? If I get 7%, I'm going to slap whoever's managing that fund. That's terrible. That's a failure. But you can impress the hell out of these people because you can pay them easily 10% on them for 2 or 3 or 4 months to bridge your strategy till you get through to sell it or refinance it. And they'll be happy because they weren't making that elsewhere. And most of these guys will have $300,000-$400,000 in cash just sitting, and they know that it shouldn't be, but they have it sitting anyway. And I've needed people like that came to me and they're like, hey man, I heard you loaned money on that deal over there. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, you dumbass, you got like 150 grand sitting in cash in a business account. Why not loan him the money? And so what I'm saying is be assertive in putting yourself out there in front of high net worth individuals who have very busy careers. Probably not an entrepreneur, because we have time to self-direct and do our own investments, and we'll make more money than that. So look at your healthcare professionals, look at legal professionals, look at, like, really, man, dentists, surgeons, attorneys, people who work 100 hours a week and make more money than they know how to spend. There's always a couple $100 grand sitting in their checking account. So
Do you lend?
I normally do. Right now, I went pretty heavy on a few private equity deals, and I'm trying to decide how much liquidity I want to keep, because I'm trying to figure out what money 2.0 is and what's going to happen. So I don't have any notes out right now for the first time in a few years, just because I don't know what my strategy is. Like, we printed so much damn money and there's so much government intervention. I'm not sure what I want to do with cash. So I've got a bit of a dry powder fund right now, but there are probate advance companies that is there much value to the remainder of the estate? Is there jewelry or guns or collectibles or cars?
No, the house is the bulk.
No life insurance?
Yes, there was. It wasn't a big policy.
How much was it? Was it more than 15 grand?
No.
I was hoping that was a way we could get your brother out of this.
Yeah.
Since there's some stuff you're not telling us, we can tell. I think that's your strategy. Look for a private lender or go to a community bank. Look for 150 if you can get it. Turn around and write him a check for 15 and say, listen, this was between the difference in the mortgage, and 15 might not be the right number. I've crossed the numbers up in my head, but whatever his half of that would be. In his mind, he might be thinking of that 240 price, but you, like, if you would sell the house to anyone else for 150 as is where is, that's what you need to compensate him. Yvonne had asked, why am I choosing dentist? Because every dentist I know makes between $200,000 and $500,000 a year, and they work their butts off, and they think that a mutual fund is a wise investment. And I think that's one of the dumbest damn things in the world you could ever buy, is an index fund or a mutual fund. And so they're accredited investors. They're viewed differently from the SEC. $100,000, even if a deal goes sideways, it's not going to wreck their life. It's going to be like, well, that sucks. How are we going to get it back? So That's the main reasons is they don't have time to make better investments than they already are. It's easy to impress them, and you get free dental work because you make the guy a lot of money. I haven't paid for dental work in 20 years. And then Roger Lisi reminded me of a tactic he used. He was in a pinch and needed private money really quickly, and he had the presence of mind to go to a pawn shop. That is one of the entrepreneurs that will actually loan you money because they have to have liquidity, otherwise they can't buy their inventory. So a lot of times pawnbrokers will have several $100,000 on deck to buy gold, guns, cars, trucks, boats, whatever it might be. And Roger, what was that one for? Was that for a house?
Yeah, that was for a house. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in probate. Two sisters were in the house, and one of them wanted her money, and the other one had to stay there because her boyfriend was going to jail for a year. And so I went to a pawnbroker, and he said, "What do you want me to do? I want you to buy the house, and then I want you to turn around and sell the house, and she will finance it. She's going to be out of here in about a year or so. And you'll get all the interest on that note if you'll carry the note for her, and you'll get paid all the rest. So you're going to get all of the interest over 1 or 2 years." And he just sat there and he pulled out his calculator, did a quick loan amortization, and he said, "This is what I'll pay for it." I showed him the house, and he wrote up the offer, and the court approved, and boom, both daughters love me now. And because one got her money and the other one got to sell the house after 18 months, she made a little bit of a profit on it and was out of it. Her boyfriend got out of jail, and they moved on to Arizona, I think. I'm sorry, it's not a slap on Arizona. Please don't take that. But it was pretty good. It was a pretty good deal, and it just turned out knocking on doors to find some private money to get it. And all three attorneys, both kids had an attorney, and there was a mediator involved with that because there's a lot of contention in the whole process. And I went to the mediator, and I sat there, and he looked at me and said, "How'd you find this?" And I said, "God gave it to me." It's just one of those God thoughts. How am I going to solve this problem? And got it done. So that was pretty exciting to get that, and won 3 attorneys as a result of that.
I'm sure God's happy to take the credit, but you learned to be a transaction engineer, and Rod, you're thinking outside of the box. So that's the big takeaway, guys. I show you some of this crazy stuff that I've done and make radical suggestions because I want you to think outside of the box. We can get a lot of good information from other investors and other coaches and from our REIA, but oftentimes they're regurgitating what somebody taught them 20 years ago. And that doesn't always mean it's the only way. So really think outside of the box when it comes to finance, and you'll have far less competition because you'll find ways to put deals together that other people are like, "Well, that's not a deal. That person's an idiot if he buys that." And you can make tons of money. Like I've bought houses. Like for example, I bought one for, instead of wholesaling it, I bought it for $70,000. I took a $70,000 down payment, carried a 10% note for one on the last $10,000. I made more on that than I ever would have wholesaling it, and it transferred after 13 months, so it was a capital gain, not earned income. And there's little things like this. If you just really think about the finance side of it and how you get out of it, your profitability can go up so much. And you can.
I want to give a big shout out to Ron Cram. Getting into the attorneys market is where I think that I've got to be headed on afterburner, primarily because Arkansas just passed a beneficiary deed, transfer on death type of operation, which takes a lot of properties out of probate. And so I think expanding my market more to not just in probate, but not just in trust, but going into the elder care where there's Medicaid and all kinds of help going on with families. There's still going to be a property at the end of that. And I think that's the tilt that I'm going to be making more to the attorney side. And actually today I had a broadcast on the radio show with the beneficiary deed and had one of the legislatures on. And all of a sudden I get 2 phone calls from people that want to have me to come talk to them about that. And I said, "I'll be glad to talk to you about it. Let's talk about what the estate is and what's important to the family about where you're at." And also doing a hospice ad in their admissions book and talking to the social workers there. Like you said, Ron, the social workers are really going to be a key influencer on what the family does, because they come across as very compassionate and trying to help people. And that's where I fall in, trying to help folks get through a tough spot in their life and making transitions. And then the coolest part about it is not only what happens with the sale of the property is, but what can I help the family do? And outside of the box thinking that we get in some of the Chad's training, like hold a note, sell it with owner financing, and all of a sudden you've turned a little bit of money into a lot of money, and it'll be a lot better for the estate. After the sale is as important as it is in front of the sale. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's basically punching through resistance to get to that part of the conversation. And you can tell by the look in their eye when they start going, what did you say? And it's just fun to see light bulbs go off when you change the paradigm of what they're talking about and moving them forward with whatever objectives that they have in their family. For example, holding a note so that you can put the kids through college down the road. And I said, there's a lot of people that will buy a house today that has linoleum and formica on it. You can really cash that in by holding the note as you go through that. And we can set you up with the loan servicers and escrow companies that'll take care of that for you.
Roger, thanks as always for your input. I did real quick. So Rick Griffith asked, how would you suggest I find a probate attorney here in Los Angeles that is also licensed in New Mexico? I haven't had time to go look at the query tool, but I would go to findlaw.com or arello.com and use their query tool. See if you can say, show me attorneys who are licensed in this state and this state. That would be the first thing I would try. That might be the quickest way to flush it out. And so filter by specialty and filter by state licensure. And that might, it's not Arello, that's for real estate professionals. Look for attorney directory. Findlaw.com is one, and the other I'm not, Arello is for real estate. There's another one that I'm not thinking about right now, but that's probably where I would start. I don't know how else you would do that other than just networking and asking other attorneys.
Yeah,
I'm looking for the elder attorneys like Ron is doing, and I'm finding that those guys are trying to get the trust set up, but if you get into the elder stuff, the long-term care is a part of that, and that kind of conversation comes in with using Medicaid to help out with if they're income and asset qualified and so on and so forth. But yes, I will take findlaw.com and start focusing on who wants to be that. It also helps in that with the SRES designation, because that's just another badge that I'm carrying around with me. And it says, oh, you're a seniors real estate specialist also. And I said, yes, I am. And not only that, a probate specialist, and been in probate for 5 or 6 years. And the beneficiary deed is going to be making my market change somewhat. I have to find another way to help.
hey, Chad, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, this is Rick. Thanks for that recommendation, because the attorney that's working with my client out here can't help the client with their property in New Mexico. So that's why I was asking, and I was trying to develop, again, just trying to develop a relationship with an attorney here.
Yeah, that'd be amazing if you could find it. Hopefully that works.
Yeah, I know. When I talked to Ellen about it, she said, yeah, good luck with that. She said, I'm looking for a unicorn. But yeah, hopefully it works, and another avenue to bring some future business in. But thank you for that recommendation.
You never know when somebody got tired of Santa Fe and decided to move to LA. Right?
You never know. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to run. Sorry for all the noise and confusion. I was not supposed to be here, but installing solar in an RV is not as easy done as it is said. So I'm going to jump back to that, and hopefully next week we'll have a prettier backdrop. But as always, guys, love these conversations. Thanks so much for being here and participating. And most importantly, for you guys like Donna, especially, like taking action. Like it's not all a bunch of talk. And she left while I complimented her. But anyways, we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.